Revenge. That's how many Republicans have been framing it. Revenge. That when they win the House, when they win the Senate, and then eventually take the presidency, the gloves are coming off. They're no longer going to play nice. And I think they're being honest, completely honest. And in fact, many Democrat personalities and journalists agree. In an article for the Philadelphia Inquirer, the impeachment of President Biden and other American nightmares coming in 2023. Oh my, look who has come home to roost. The Democrats impeached Donald Trump twice on complete BS. There was endless scandals, accusations of colluding with Russia, and you expect Republicans to sit back while this is going on for 5 years and then do nothing. Now, I could sit here and say to all of you, it would be nice if there was some de-escalation. It would be nice if Republicans said, we are not going to play those games. We are going to lead this country. The problem is, if they do, the Democrats won't back down. They'll keep playing the same games. I mean, look at what they're doing with January 6th. Now, of course, there are a lot of Democrat personalities and leftists who think January 6th was the apocalypse. Let me explain very simply for those that may not understand. While there were many who rioted on January 6th, there are people who have been in solitary confinement for months charged with trespassing. So no, there will be no backing down should Republicans win. But I will say this to Republicans. You better pray that the Republican base, that the MAGA crowd, that Trump supporters vote in the primaries. Because if they don't, you're going to get the good old establishment Republicans who will do nothing. Now, we've got some data and we've got some statements from populist candidates. Joe Kent, for instance, is saying that he's going to impeach Joe Biden. One of the first things that they're going to do when they win, I think, is the correct move. And I can break it down for you very simply, having to do with Burisma and Mykola Zlochevsky and Viktor Shokin and the president of Ukraine and Burisma, all of these companies, Hunter Biden. I believe there is ample evidence to initiate impeachment hearings against Joe Biden for this. And I personally believe the right thing to do for the Republicans is to impeach Joe Biden. Now, I understand many people are worried that Kamala Harris will then become president. Yes, but I'm not thinking about that. I can't think about the fears of what may be with Kamala Harris, even though it may be worse. I'm not concerned so much with the politics as I am with the system and with justice. When politics becomes more important than the system will collapse. And if we sit back and say we will not impeach Joe Biden because we are worried about Kamala Harris, then you have a corrupt individual in the seat of the presidency. I think I can break down for you a bit of the basics on what happened with Joe Biden and why he should be impeached. I think it's fair to do to explain why these Republicans want to do it. Now, as to whether or not the Republicans will actually win, as I stated, the primaries are going to be very important. Also, what will be important is whether or not people have faith in these elections. But I got to be honest with all of you. The polls right now show the apocalypse is coming for Democrats. In this article I mentioned, the one right before you about the impeachment of Biden, they lay out how many pollsters have said it's done. The Democrats aren't going to win this. The economy is in shambles. Critical race theory is also creeping up to the forefront. And regular Americans have said, I am mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. I don't think Republicans have all the answers, but a lot of people are just going to vote against Democrats no matter what they do. And as lockdown restrictions continue and escalate, stores are closing and schools are getting shut down, regular Americans are saying we will take the risks and we will vote for whoever puts an end to this, which means Democrats have a good reason to panic. I want to read you this article and go through the data, but before we do, head over to timcast.com, become a member, and you will support all of our journalists and get access to our exclusive members-only segments on the Timcast IRL podcast and our other shows. As a member, we have a ton of projects in the works. We have new shows. We have a book we just released, and you will get exclusive access to premium content. And you will also be helping us do more work. A little redundant, I guess, but sure. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. It's the most powerful thing you can do. Let's read this story. The impeachment of President Biden and other American nightmares coming in 2023, with polls, gerrymandering, making a GOP House all but inevitable. In 2023, Americans need to ponder a year that could tear the nation apart. I am deeply offended by this. The ignorance. I am deeply offended by this article. For what we all went through for 5 years, I don't care about your policy positions. Russiagate, P-tape lies? My favorite article. There may be a tape of Trump doing something somewhere, but what he's doing and where it is, we don't know. I'm not kidding. That was a real article from the Huffington Post. They called it the Great White Whale. It was literally nothing, and they wrote an article about it. That's how much they hated Trump. They lied to us. They tried to keep soldiers in Syria by lying to us. They did. I think they did it. Joe Biden comes in and botches the Afghanistan withdrawal. I am deeply offended at the notion that it is now going to be a nightmare only if Republicans win. No, we've all been dealing with what's been going on for some time. Now, if you've been oblivious to this, if you weren't paying attention to the news outside of your bubble or outside of CNN, you probably didn't realize. But for most of us, we've been dealing with the collapse of this country due to the psychotic behaviors of Democratic establishment leaders and, yes, many Republicans. But let's be real. It was Adam Schiff who went on TV with an envelope. Oh, I've got proof Donald Trump did it. All lies. Donald Trump colluded with Russia. Lies. And here we are. People were goaded into voting for Joe Biden based on lies. They withheld information on Hunter Biden and his dealings and the corruption of Joe Biden. Lies and social media censorship. And now we're reaping the rewards of a failing presidency. Well, here's what Will Bunch writes for The Inquirer. Imagine this. It's a gray, chilly day in Washington, D.C. in March of 2023. A handful of protesters from left-leaning groups like Indivisible are huddled outside the icy Potomac winds, but mostly here's a climate of disbelief in the nation's capital as the GOP-dominated House of Representatives wraps up debate over the impeachment of Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., 46th President of the United States. Was it a nightmare when Donald Trump was impeached twice on completely BS reasons? Spare me. It was a little more than 5 months since the Republicans gained 43 House seats in the 2022 midterms. Many in newly gerrymandered seats, and since the incoming chair of the House Judiciary Committee, Rep. Jim Jordan of Ohio, started studying a menu of equally off-the-wall options, Hunter Biden's laptop, hey, that was real. The Afghanistan withdrawal, yeah, everyone, except for like cultist Democrats, believes Joe Biden botched that. Or something unprecedented about the president's mental acuity. Unprecedented? The dude said, true in Anana Shaba depressure, and these people who voted for him don't know it. For Biden impeachment hearings. Joe Biden should be impeached over Ukraine, period. And I will say that definitively. We'll get into it. In the end, Jordan and his colleagues, including the radical QAnon conspiracy theorists who replaced GOP moderates Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, decided the pretext didn't even matter that much. House Speaker McCarthy, who staved off a challenge, blah, 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 delivered his closing speech. A Code Pink protester burst onto the floor and screamed, "Why are you doing this?" Well, Madam Code Pink protester, if you paid attention to the news, you may know that Joe Biden is deeply, deeply corrupt, and his family fortunes have conspicuously tracked alongside his political career. Or do you not read Politico, who published that? 2 burly guards drag her out. This is America's immediate future. That's right. A couple developments this week, blah, blah, blah. But he goes on to say, here's what's going to happen. A Biden impeachment. The most extreme Republicans on Capitol Hill have been champing at the bit to hold Biden impeachment hearings. In fact, 4 GOP House members filed lost cause impeachment articles against the 46 back in September. Do you remember before Trump was impeached, several Democrats did the exact same thing? Yeah. Revenge is a dish best served cold, and it will come in the winter. Now, I don't know if it's the right thing. I can tell you this. I don't believe any Trump supporter, any Republican, and most moderates will sit back and accept Republicans doing nothing. You can call it revenge. You can call it retribution. You can call it justice. I will tell you this. The fissure is real. And should Republicans take back the House after a strong primary and populists replace the establishment? This very well may happen. He goes on to say, given the party's Trump-inspired push for a tit-for-tat revenge against Democrats, it's not hard to picture a 2023 effort to put Biden on par with 45. Think about where this leads us as a country. I'm sad to see it, and I'm sad to hear it, but it started with Democrats, not Republicans. And now if Republicans are going to say, we must, I'll put it this way. The Democrats accused Trump of being a Russian puppet. They impeached him. It was a lie. The Ukraine stuff. Then January 6th, lies, lies, lies. If it starts there, we cannot move on as a country unless there is real accountability. We cannot allow one political party to lie, cheat, and steal. In doing so, Republicans pushing back will trigger the Democrats to claim Republicans are fascists. I don't see a way past this. He goes on to add, it will be the end of accountability for January 6th and Trump's failed coup. It's exactly what they believe will happen. He says, Within weeks of arguably the most dangerous day for American democracy since the end of the Civil War, the overwhelming majority of GOPers on Capitol Hill made clear their belief that any investigations into the causes and the leaders of the insurrection are a partisan witch hunt. The most dangerous day since the end of the Civil War? No, I think that was when they started the Russiagate proceedings against Trump. Maybe it was even the 2020 election, as I described it as the spike being driven in the boulder that will cause the fissure. Rip it apart. He goes on to add, a revenge-obsessed 118th Congress. You better believe it. I absolutely believe this is the path we are on. I believe Republicans will cheer for it, and I don't blame them. I really don't. Let us mosey on over to Joe Kent for Wisconsin. Joe Kent, we've had on Timcast IRL. He's a good dude. He's a good dude. He tweeted, when we take power back, we are impeaching Biden, stopping his agenda in its tracks and conducting rigorous oversight. Once we get back the White House with Trump, we drive forward with putting American families and workers first. This is my promise. I say it to our base and to WAPO and MSNBC. Now, I believe he has a good chance of winning. I don't know for sure. I'm not going to pretend to be a pollster or anything, but based on a lot of issues pertaining to polls, pertaining to the sentiment Americans are describing, I think we're on track for a red wave this November. Now, you got to understand, it's an eternity away. A year is an eternity in politics. You also got to understand, if people feel that the election is pointless because they don't trust them, the Democrats will win. And if people do not vote in their primaries or locally, then it won't matter anyway, because you'll end up with establishment Republicans who do nothing. But I'll tell you where this leads us. You may notice, as I pull up this tweet, on the right side of what's happening, trending, national divorce. I almost can't believe that. National divorce is trending on Twitter. Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene suggests a national divorce scenario after Chronicles magazine associate editor Pedro L. Gonzalez says he supports actively discriminating against some transplants from liberal states. There's also a viral tweet from Jesse Kelly. It was meant to be somewhat facetious, where he said when the Republicans win or whatever, he's going to ban communists from stores and trains. And the people on the left don't understand. They don't actually read the news. And I hate to say it, but it may be a generality, but it is overwhelmingly true. Not for all leftists, but many of them. They only read their own bubble news. He's making fun of you. Jesse Kelly is pointing out that right now, conservatives are being banned from stores, being banned from restaurants. He's talking about what you are doing right now, Democrats. And if you're mad about it, you're looking in a mirror. A funhouse mirror, maybe. Which brings me to one of those reply guys, Jeff Tiedrich. Lauren Boebert tweeted, Joe Biden has not delivered on his promise for true and non-Shabbat pressure. And she didn't say it exactly like that, but that's what she said. And Jeff Tiedrich, who's an anti-Trump reply guy, said her brain is finally broken. The raccoons in her head have eaten it. And a wave of Democrat supporters just said, I can't believe how dumb she is. Completely oblivious to the fact she was quoting Joe Biden. Here's my point. If the left doesn't understand the right in any capacity, if they don't read the news or know what's going on, there is no mending this divide. National divorce. If people don't want to know who Joe Biden is, if they don't listen to him speak, but they blindly support him, and they do, you will get conflict. People saying no. Now, Joe Kent says we'll impeach Biden. Okay. From the Seattle Times, September 1st, Trump endorses Joe Kent, Republican challenger to Rep. Jamie Herrera Butler, who voted for impeachment. I think Joe Kent could win. I don't know all the data, but I've had him on the show, and he's an American first guy. America first. He believes in helping Americans. He believes in the working class. He seems like a good dude. And he's standing up because many people on the right are fed up with what the left did. And Trump has endorsed him. That matters. Over at the New York Post, we got this story just the other day. GOP holds double-digit lead among independent voters ahead of 2022 midterms. They say a new poll indicates that self-described independent voters would prefer, by an 18 percentage point margin, that Republicans regain control of Congress in next year's midterm elections. The poll, conducted by John Zogby Strategies, released last week, found that 45% of independents want the GOP in charge of the House and Senate, compared to 27% who want Democrats to keep the majority. The remaining 28% said they were undecided. The same survey found that Republicans held a 3-point advantage, 46% to 43 on the generic congressional ballot. Quote, in my 4 decades polling, Democrats need about a 5-point advantage in nationwide congressional preference in order to maintain a majority of Congress, John Zogby said in a statement. With a 3-point Republican lead and a substantial lead among independents, signs are pointing today to the possibility of a big Republican advantage going into 2022. National divorce. National divorce. That's what's trending. I'll show you again. Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene suggests a national divorce. I bring you now to the insane ignorance and obliviousness of activist Democrats. Occupy Democrats on Twitter. They have 218,000 followers. Now, many of these people are conservative as well. They're not the most prominent. They're a bit out there. But this tweet has been not just them, but a similar tweet about national divorce has gone viral. Many people are saying this. Occupy Democrats says, breaking, Marjorie Taylor Greene calls for a national divorce and says brainwashed Democrats who move from blue to red states should have a cooling off period before they're allowed to vote. RT to remind her the last national divorce was the Civil War and her side lost. If you're a follower of Occupy Democrats, if you're a Democrat and you want to believe them that her side lost, you're free to do so. But friends, let me just tell you, it was the Democrats who lost the Civil War. The Republicans won the Civil War. And based on what I see happening today, I believe if it were to occur, for many reasons, it would be Republicans winning. I don't want one to happen. There are a lot of people who say that simply for me bringing it up, I'm encouraging it. Oh, please. The last thing we need is a civil war. We have China at our backs. We have Russia and Ukraine. We don't need internal conflict. Some people have said, I think the elites are trying to push civil war. No, it's probably China, our principal adversary. And look, Thucydides' trap suggests, Thucydides' trap it's called, that when a rising economic power is about to surpass the dominant power, war breaks out. Psychological warfare, informational warfare are components of 4th and 5th generational warfare. We could be in the conflict right now, and you just don't know it. That being said, Democrats lost the Civil War. The Democrats lost the Civil War, and they try to push this narrative. The parties switched. No, it's not true. There may have been people of varying political persuasions who have changed over time. Certain regions have adopted certain policies, but the idea that the party switched is incorrect. Now, I want to tell you why I think there could be a civil war, and I want to tell you why I think it could be Republicans. And you know what? I don't need to change threads to explain it. I think you need to understand that right now, the Supreme Court has heard oral arguments on Roe v. Wade. I've mentioned this before, but I think it bears repeating, especially in this context. Many among the left and the right feel that the Supreme Court will overturn Roe v. Wade. Let me clarify. They heard oral arguments pertaining to Mississippi's, I think it's a 11-week abortion ban. In the oral arguments, several of the conservative justices outright made arguments that make it seem like they're not going to be upholding Roe v. Wade. What does that mean? If there really is a red wave, and it looks like the data suggests it, and revenge is on the menu, and I think it will be, how much you want to bet there will be a federal abortion ban? Now, I know some people have already pointed this out to me, but I don't think it doesn't change my position at all. They say, Tim, how could Republicans vote for a federal abortion ban if Roe v. Wade is about states' rights on the matter? When Republicans are saying it should be a matter left up to the states. The federal government shouldn't be deciding whether states can or shouldn't ban abortion. 12 states already have trigger laws. What that means is as soon as Roe v. Wade is overturned, abortion is illegal. I don't believe that Republicans will simply just say, now that we've overturned Roe v. Wade, let's leave it to the states. I think at this point, they're going to say, end it. End the killing of babies at a federal level. I think Republicans absolutely will. It's a strong moral issue. And then many blue states will refuse. And this is, in my opinion, an issue that results in people saying, I'm willing to fight for it. Blue states, sanctuaries for immigration. Are Republicans going to storm in to find immigrants, illegal immigrants? No, ICE does that. They say, okay, we're going to have dispensaries, even though the federal government says no. Are Republicans going to storm in and shut down dispensaries? No, they don't care if you smoke. Republicans don't care about that stuff. But what if you're running an abortion clinic against the law? You think Republicans or conservatives would storm in? Okay, let's be real. Maybe not the majority, but do you think there's 10 conservatives who would get armed and go say, we're going to shut down an abortion clinic? I think so. Is there 100? Yeah. 1,000? Mm-hmm. 10,000? Probably. 100,000? Yes. 1 million? Probably. People who would look at a federally, I'll put it this way, because I was talking to someone about this. What do you think would happen right now if somebody tried to enslave another person, enslave them, and they were found in a yard in chains tilling a field? Doesn't matter if you're on the left or the right. Armed people would absolutely storm in and use lethal force to save that person. And it's obvious. There are people who kidnap children and other people and hold them against their will. And police use lethal force to end it. Imagine this scenario. Abortion is banned at the federal level. And there are states running abortion clinics. This is where things get scary. It gets scary because you are looking at the real fissure. Someone under the law would be taking a life by having an abortion or by conducting an abortion or whatever, however you want to phrase it. Could then someone act in defense of others? Scary prospect. I don't want to weigh in on too much more other than to say I believe that could be a very serious catalyst for civil war, and a lot of people don't seem to understand. Because blue states will defy the federal government to such a degree that the federal government will have to go in and be prepared for mass rioting to shut down abortion clinics. Maybe it won't get that far. Maybe the Supreme Court will not overturn Roe v. Wade. I don't know for sure. But I do think it's fair to say that Republicans are looking for revenge, and the Democrats do expect it. And right now, boy, is it looking bad. From SarahCarter.com, Biden approval rating falls even lower than VP Kamala Harris. Wow. According to a poll conducted by Gallup, 43% approved of the way Biden is handling the job versus 51% who disapprove. Kamala Harris is beating the commander-in-chief with a 44%. That's a Gallup. Those are good numbers. In aggregate, Joe Biden, I'm pretty sure he's doing a little bit worse than that. Among independents, substantially worse than that. Joe Biden is failing. Joe Biden has failed. I mean, the economy is trashed. Even Jim Cramer, who was like, the economy is doing well, posted a photo of barren store shelves. Supply chain is collapsed. There are more COVID cases than ever. Biden's now entertaining the possibility of domestic air travel vaccine mandates. No one is happy with the trajectory. So we could be looking at an impeachment for sure. We could be looking at an impeachment, and I believe that Republicans will do it. But where could we go and what else could happen? If the abortion thing happens, and I believe Republicans would be willing to pass a federal abortion ban regardless of what the previous ruling was on states' rights, I'd say, nope, we're shutting it down. Joe Biden would veto it. Kamala Harris, if she's president, would veto it too. I don't know if she'll be president. Then you'll get a Donald Trump. He'll run for office, and he will say, I will sign the bill first thing. And then things get crazy, because if that happens and you have blue states refusing to abide by the federal law to the extent that they're going to carry out abortions, even when the federal government views it as taking a life, people are going to get crazy. But could something else happen? I think so. You see, a year is an eternity in politics. And Joe Rogan had something interesting to say. The other day, the Daily Mail reported, quote, I believe if she runs, she wins. Joe Rogan backs former First Lady Michelle Obama to win against Trump if she decides to run for the 2024 presidential election, unless she backs lockdowns and mandates. You know, I would have agreed with this a few months ago, and I did. I said several times, Michelle Obama will win. She is very popular. The Obamas are very, very popular. She could run. She could be the first female president. I wouldn't bet on it now. Sorry, I wouldn't. A few months ago, maybe. Maybe before August when Joe Biden was still viewed favorably. And then after Afghanistan, nope. Everything has gone bad. Michelle Obama could run. Maybe she'll have Kamala Harris as a running mate, Joe Rogan says. But at this point, things are so bad that I believe regular people are going to say, I will take a ham sandwich over a Democrat at this point. And then Michelle Obama can't win. And she won't. But I don't know if she'll actually run. I don't know if she will. Kamala Harris might run. Pete Buttigieg might run. I really don't know. I can tell you that people are fed up, and historically, and based on the redistricting, Republicans should win. And then you are going to see their revenge. Let me tell you why. I can't speak out against it. From the Daily Mail, incoming NYC comptroller Brad Lander requests NYPD security detail despite calling for force to have $1 billion slashed from its budget. I am deeply upset with an NYPD for demanding the papers from a child. I'm not here to defend them over that stuff, but I'm here not to be an idiot. For someone like Brad Lander to run, to have advocated for defunding the police and now wanting it himself, this is why I have no tolerance for the Democratic Party, for many of these progressives and leftists. I don't know exactly what party affiliation he has, but for the politicians in general, the hypocrites, be it Republican or otherwise, Kevin McCarthy, Mitch McConnell, don't care. This is what you get. They will say one thing, turn around, and out of the side of their mouth, say something else. Look, your opinions can change. That's fine. Maybe this guy said, defund the police, and then saw all the crime and said, wow, that was a mistake. I need security now. Or maybe he just said, defund the police. Sure, that's what people want. Then when he saw the crime, he was like, I'll just give myself security. This is what you get when you vote for these people. New York City, why are the cops so bad? Because they vote Democrat. And the Democrats appoint the NYPD leadership. And the NYPD leadership drops to their knees for the Democratic Party. Then they all complain about how bad their own cities are. So I can't look at this stuff. I can't see what the Democrats have done over the past years and then say, no, Republicans, don't do it. Take the high ground. Nah, my attitude is Republicans, we need justice. Hillary Clinton should be indicted over the emails. You think don't bring up the emails. That was wrong. I don't care. Hillary Clinton deleted public record indictment. She should be barred from public service. Joe Biden. Oh, let's do it. Let's do it. I didn't bring it up yet. Let's do it. The Qatar-Turkey pipeline. U.S. and Western interests wanted a pipeline through Syria and Turkey into Europe to offset the Gazprom Russian natural gas monopoly. Syria said, no, we're allies with Russia. We will not allow you to build a pipeline through here. The U.S. expressed intent to invade Syria, and then lo and behold, a civil war breaks out, convenient for America, who arms the rebels, tries to remove Bashar al-Assad, who is smeared and slammed in the media relentlessly. And he's not a good dude, by the way. He's not a good dude at all. The U.S. wanted their pipeline, but they couldn't get it. This brings us to, oh boy, Ukraine and Russia and the annexation of Crimea. The conflict is real. But all of this leads us to Burisma, an energy company. Surprise. Was the Qatar-Turkey pipeline going to go through here, and was Burisma going to be a facilitator for some of what was going to happen? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe not. But all of a sudden, there is this Western-aligned energy company in Ukraine founded by a man named Mykola Zlochevsky. A CIA official is on the board, and the vice president's son. Viktor Shokin, the prosecutor, opened several investigations into Mykola Zlochevsky, which would have led him to Burisma, where Hunter Biden was on the board of directors. Joe Biden went to the president of Ukraine and said, fire the prosecutor or you're not getting the $1 billion. That is on camera, is on video. He admitted to it. The president capitulated. In a sworn statement from Viktor Shokin, the prosecutor who got fired, he said he was fired and he was told he was being fired because of Joe Biden, thus ending, I believe it was like 13 or 14 investigations into Zlochevsky. Now, at the time, he had fled the country. But since Joe Biden got that prosecutor fired, a new prosecutor came in, and the cases were closed, and Zlochevsky returned. Now, I don't know exactly what happened or why. Those things are true, though. Is it all related to the Qatar-Turkey pipeline? It might not be. Maybe it's not. But when Western forces, Western intelligence wants natural gas in Europe, and we know they do, and you've got a CIA, I think a former director on the board of a Ukrainian energy company. I think it's fairly obvious and reasonable to put two and two together. That Joe Biden did not want interference from the prosecutor and ordered his removal, a quid pro quo, as it were. For this, Joe Biden must be impeached. What was Donald Trump impeached over? Trying to stop it. Now, what they'll tell you is that in order to secure American interests, we need this pipeline. Sure. But you're playing dirty games and you're corrupt. And when you get caught, you get called out, it's done. The U.S. can find other means to secure gas into Europe. But it's war, I get it. Here's the challenge. Everything I said about Republicans, if they play nice, the left doesn't, the Republicans lose. Well, here's the reality. China's not playing nice. Russia's not playing nice. So the U.S. is playing dirty. And in turn, they don't want their plans disrupted. It may be that the best thing for us and for Europe against China was getting this natural gas into Europe. And with the disruption of it and Trump looking into it, it threatened Western interests. Okay. Well, if that's the case, you've got a problem. The American people deserve to know the truth. It's happened. And Joe Biden, if he's going to play dirty games, do not go after Trump for doing the exact same thing. You lose. We want justice. We want to know that we'll be treated fairly under the law. And if you think desperate times call for desperate measures and the other people are evil, no, we can't do it. Truth and justice. So I'll tell you this. The Republicans getting their revenge, I don't know about all that. But the Republicans going after Joe Biden, going after Hillary Clinton is justice. They went after Trump. Okay. Russiagate, Ukrainegate, nothing panned out. Now they can go after Democrats and we can get our justice. It's hard to know how to play it. It really is. Because there is a part of me that understands. Often the reasons the U.S. does the things they do with Syria and Ukraine and things like it is so that we can all live more comfortably. But maybe it's wrong. But then what? Do we let China win? I don't have the answers for you. I am not the arbiter of morality. I can simply say as an American, I am disgusted and offended that I was lied to, that I was cheated, that I was manipulated, and we want justice. So I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all then.